Hello and welcome to YHTV's newest show, Decoding Nutrition. Boy, do we all need a lot of help doing that one, right? There's too much out there. We just need a little deciphering here. So here is an excerpt from one of our Magical Medical Tour shows with Kabir Southwick, Understanding Ayurveda. Understanding Ayurveda. Oh, that's a whole nother area of nutrition and wellness that we've just not even touched the tip of the iceberg on. Well, here, listen and have a moment, and you check that out for yourself.
Well, I believe Ayurveda comes from southern India and the state of Kerala, and this is a jungle area, quite dense, and they have a wide variety of plants, herbs, and bark that you wouldn't find, say, in a desert environment or a forest. So they were blessed with this very dense source to work from, and over thousands of years, through trial and error and through observation of animals, apparently, they learned the effects of herbs and food and spices, which for Ayurveda is all one and the same. It's only here in the West where we differentiate between herbs and food. We see them as separate, but in Ayurveda they're not really separate. So this is how Ayurveda accumulated, or let's say the early practitioners accumulated this knowledge over generations and generations and passed it down. So I believe that the knowledge of herbs and even the knowledge of foods is one of the greatest achievements of humankind, because it has taken thousands of years to determine the effects and actions and properties of millions of parts of plants: the bark, the stem, the leaves, the roots, the flowers, the seeds, and how they affect the human being physically, mentally, emotionally.
Seems pretty interesting and complex. When an Ayurvedic practitioner sees a patient, what's the process at that point? In Western medicine, we sit down with a patient, we take a history, we do a physical examination, we order laboratory tests and visual imaging studies. What would one expect if we went to see an Ayurvedic practitioner for a health problem?
Well, in Ayurveda, it is the interpreting of the body, interpreting the skin, the texture of the skin, the dryness, the moisture of the skin, any markings on the skin, the face. The tongue is very important for understanding the intestinal tract, the reading of the tongue, the lips, the nails, and of course the pulse. From the pulse, almost all ailments or imbalances can be detected. So it's really the art of interpreting and reading the signs that the body has and is displaying, that are there for everyone to see. It's just having the ability to interpret it and translate this into a type of knowledge that allows the Ayurvedic practitioner to see imbalances.
In Western medicine, somebody comes to us with a sore throat, and we give, if it's an appropriate diagnosis, bacterial, we'll give them an antibiotic for a certain amount of time. And sometimes we don't follow up with them if we assume that they get better, otherwise they'll come and see us. In your practice, do you follow up with people once you give them an herb? When's the next time you see them?
Yeah, well, of course, in this manner of self-care, because really it's the person caring for themselves. I'm only the guide to understand their body, their health condition, their imbalances, and helping them prioritize what needs to be worked on first. But it's the individual themselves that has to make the lifestyle changes, improve the diet, and take the herbs and drink the tea. not myself. So, of course, I'm very concerned that the person is following these guidelines, and I encourage them. And we're moving from step to step, working on some of these preliminary health concerns that I mentioned, and then moving forward step at a time. And then they're seeing their health improve in other ways. Often when I work with a client, they come with a particular ailment or disease or imbalance, but after I've improved their digestion, improved their eating habits, improved their elimination, improved their diet, that what they came to me for, whether it was headache or menopause symptoms, have already fallen to the wayside before that I've actually got around to addressing them directly. So generally, I address the health holistically, knowing that ultimately the body wants to heal itself. The body is always working for its own best interest. And if I can help the person or the body to have what it needs, what it's lacking, often what it's craving. Cravings are often a sign of deficiency, and if they can be interpreted and understood, then the person can supply the body, we could say on a nutritional level, but more than that, what it needs, and then secondly, help the body to rid what it doesn't need. Of course, congestion, toxicity, phlegm, excess mucus, sometimes excess stomach acids. And so then when the body has what it needs and is helped to eliminate what it doesn't need, many health conditions improve before I ever come around to having to address them directly. And that's usually my first approach, is to help the body as much as I can over a period of time. And this could be anywhere from a couple of weeks to a few months. And then if the initial health condition still remains, then we will continue to focus on that. And of course, some things like weight will always take time. Any type of cysts or fibroid or tumor, this will also take time and will need to be addressed individually. But many issues will improve by themselves because the body will heal itself. And many of the conditions that people see as diseases are only the tip of the iceberg or a symptom to a deeper imbalance, which is what Ayurveda is looking for and working on.
I know that you, as a practitioner, are always looking for the root cause analysis. And in Western medicine, we're always looking for that too. And our way of looking for that is usually through a microscope or testing cellular levels of things, or testing levels, say, of a vitamin or different parts of the body's chemistry. How does an Ayurvedic practitioner look for a root cause? And is it the same kind of thing that Western medicine is looking for?
Yeah, well, I'm not so sure whether Western medicine really does look for the root causes. I would know better than myself, being that I've never been to a Western doctor except for my friendship with you and other medical practitioners. But Ayurveda is looking at deep, what we could call imbalances. So, for example, you may have a person who has anxiety, and the Western doctor may look for certain deficiencies. But in Ayurveda, they can see at a deeper overall imbalance in the person that can be reflective in being underweight, having dry skin, having a jumpiness, a lack of calmness, and maybe even short in fat and oil, and a hectic lifestyle, which are all still evident of this deeper imbalance of dryness, overactivity, overstimulation. And this can be seen in the body, particularly of the thin, underweight, restless, and overly active person, both mentally and physically. So this imbalance could be identified even on the telephone. this particular imbalance, in Ayurvedic terms, would be a vata imbalance, which means air, which is things are moving too quickly, too active. This type of person with this imbalance, they may be calling about anxiety, but it's for sure that they will have difficulties sleeping. There'll be a lot of excess thinking, and they'll also have a dry skin and often constipation. So once the root imbalance is seen, then there's other symptoms or signs that are a result. And by asking the person, do you also have this symptom? And they go, yes. And do you also have this? And they go, yes. How did you know? Because now you are looking at the deeper imbalance. Now that I know I'm seeing the deeper imbalance here, because I'm telling them other symptoms that they have before they tell me. So now I can feel that I understand this imbalance.
You mentioned vata, and I know that this comes in with the body types that the Ayurvedic practitioners look at. Would you explain to our viewers, and maybe even spell out each of the words so that if they wanted to look these things up, they could do that? Would you explain the body types and how that influences your diagnosis and treatment?
Well, this is an aspect of healthcare of Ayurveda. It's called we could say the theory of the three doshas. The doshas are the three body types, or we could say your constitution, the constitution type. And the three main types are vata, pitta, and the kapha. And there are subcategories. There's actually 9 different categories as well. There's besides
Kabir,
three.
would you spell those, please?
Oh, VATA, vata, which means air, movement. And then pitta, PITTA, which is fire and transformation. And then kapha, KAPHA, which means earth and water, and which means cohesion and forming and growth. So it's easiest to think of the 3 overall body types. And in Ayurveda, there's no one size fits all. And this is what I noticed when I first went to India in 1982 after studying traditional nutritional sciences in the West, after the influence of my mother, is that in Ayurveda, they don't have a one size fits all. They don't say that a person should have this or another, or this is good or this is bad. Truly, they follow the principle of one man's food can be another man's poison, the Hippocrates quote. And this is very, very important to Ayurveda, to understand the person's fundamental dosha or body type or body constitution type initially. So instead of looking at the complex subcategories, we'll just focus on the 3 main ones, vata, pitta, and kapha. So, and you can imagine this type of person in your life. So try to imagine this person, and I'll describe these in their dominant sense. Now, many people, of course, instead of just a vata, they could be a vata kapha, they could be a vata pitta, and of course, they could have been born a vata, and now they could have an imbalance and have excess weight and be a vata kapha. So there's variations, but the 3 main ones, vata, pitta, kapha, are as such. The vata is the thin person, thin even in older age. They don't put on weight very easily. They tend to have a dry skin. They tend to have a lot of anxiety or activity. They get up early in the morning, clean the whole house, do a lot of errands, got a lot of energy in the morning. Then they become a little tired in the afternoon, often have difficulty sleeping. They're restless, think a lot, and tend towards constipation, and have a very sensitive digestive system where they'll say many things will give them gas and bloating in particular in the colon area. So you can imagine this a skinny, active person that's very busy and thinking a lot. I think we all have this type of person in our life, and we know them. They're out there. We call them vata, vata types. Now the second type is the pitta. Pitta is the Greeks would call the mesomorph. They're more muscular, they're stronger. They're often still thin, but they're not skinny. They're more upper body strength, stronger features. But the main distinct quality of the Pitta type person is their warmer body temperature. They're hotter, they're warmer, they're wearing tank tops while other people are wearing jackets. Children will throw their blankets off, not want to wear jackets despite their parents continually being concerned about them, because their body temperature is literally warmer than other people, and they are running warm. And so this is their distinct feature. They also are very driven people, very motivated people, very intense people, and their digestive problems are usually more to do with the stomach, too much stomach acids, heartburn, acid reflux, indigestion, or sometimes a high blood pressure. So there's all certain imbalances that are inherent in each of the different types. The third type is the Kapha body type. The Kapha body type is the one that puts on the weight most. It's just the stocky person or the voluptuous shaped woman, or often the people we see with weight issues who are very overweight are Kapha types. And so in Ayurveda, we wouldn't call a person overweight. We would say they have a Kapha imbalance. And this is a way of basically saying they have too much weight, too much growth. So, and this person tends to be clammy and cool and calm and slow, and their problems generally are imbalances are generally related to overeating, being too sedentary, not being active enough, and leads often to diabetes, blood sugar issues, cholesterol, obesity. And this is the path that they can go when they're extremely imbalanced. So once you have this grip on what type of body that you're dealing with, it's like a mechanic knowing what kind of car he's working on. If somebody calls about their car and says their air conditioner isn't working, well, the first thing the mechanic wants to know is what kind of car do you have? And if you say, oh, I have a Camry, and he may say, oh, those Camrys, they always have trouble with the air conditioner. Well, this is the way the Ayurvedic practitioner is working. He's knowing the body type. Once he knows the body type, he's saying, oh, I bet you have trouble sleeping. Oh, I bet you have a little anxiety. I bet you think a lot at night. And the person goes, yeah, how'd you know? That's because we now know the body type. So it's like the mechanic knowing the common problems with that particular model car. It gives him a great advantage. If you had three people in the room, cooking, say you had three women in the room cooking, the one running around doing most of the work, the busybody, that would be the Vata. The one who is maybe being more bossy and dominant would be the Pitta. And the one sitting at the table slowly cutting the potatoes, talking a lot, but not working as much would be the Kapha. So you can see these people in your life, and for an Ayurvedic practitioner, generally we can identify this type of body type even before they come, just through the conversation. And this allows us to know their imbalances without them having to tell us. And it allows us to prepare the diet that's going to be most suitable for that person's digestive system type. Because actually, the dosha, what you're born with is called the prakriti. You have one that you're born with, and then you have one that you are now, the vikriti. So you could have been born skinny, but now if you're overweight, then you have a kapha imbalance. But you are still that skinny person deep inside. So if I know a person was born a Vata, but now they're 30 pounds overweight, I can be sure that I'll be successful to bring them back to their natural state. But if I have a person who was always overweight, always struggling with weight, even in the youth, even in their teenage years, they had extra weight, then I can know that they're never going to be a skinny person. At best, we're going to bring them down to a healthy weight. So it also gives me a frame of reference to know where we can go. What is the person's natural state, as well as what their imbalances are. And for digestion, this is essential. And this is a big mistake that modern nutritional science makes with their one-size-fits-all approach. I'll give you a very good example. We know that cayenne and chili and pungent vegetables, we could say, are helpful in the stimulating a fat metabolism in the body, stimulating circulation in the heart, and helping with weight loss. But if you have a person who's a pitta, who has a warmer body temperature, gets acid reflux and heartburn, you're not going to, if you told them to have chili pepper to lose weight, they're going to tell you there's no way I'm going to have chili pepper. Every time I have chili pepper, I get heartburn and acid reflux. But as an Ayurvedic practitioner, we would say, well, I'm not going to have you do chili pepper because that would obviously give you heartburn and acid reflux. And they go, that's right. Same for, say, fighting a fungal infection or yeast infection. We know that garlic is very effective. But if you have this pitta type person who you would, without even asking them, you would not tell him to be having garlic and raw garlic all day, even if he had a fungal infection, because this would only aggravate his tendency. Doesn't mean he has it, but he knows that he has a tendency to get acid reflux and heartburn, and more than likely does not like garlic, onions, and spicy food. So once you know their body type, then the whole diet becomes clear. Any herbal formulas that I prepare are adjusted for that individual. This is why many of my clients have met each other in the streets and, to their astonishment, found out that they had a completely different diet. I've had clients who were overweight, and they both lost 30, 40 pounds, and then they met each other on the street, and they compared notes. And they found out that they thought their diet was the perfect weight loss diet because it worked so well for them. But when they met their friend, they realized that I gave them completely different foods and a completely different routine, and that person lost weight. So both people were very surprised, and I've had this happen many times where people approach me when they met my other clients and ask me, how come you told that person to have apple cider vinegar, but you told me to have lemon juice? And I go, well, I wouldn't tell you to have apple cider vinegar no matter how healthy it is, because vinegar is very acidic. You have strong stomach acids, and you have tendency towards heartburn and acid reflux. And you do not like vinegar, I believe. And they go, that's right. So that's why I didn't even mention it, because I knew you. I didn't have to say, can you take apple cider vinegar? I just said, no, you have lime with your water. Don't use apple cider vinegar. So this is due to the knowledge that you have of that particular body type.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that moment with Kabir Southwick. That is Magical Medical Tours, episode 83. Understanding Ayurveda. Now, there is the full hour show if you'd like to go there. We hope you enjoyed this moment that we've shared with you. It's just to give you an idea of what's up and coming in 2014 with our Decoding Nutrition show. We just feel that it is so important for each of us to find the path that is right for us at this time with our foods and what we eat, and having a better understanding. I mean, when we pick up a package or learning to read what's in it, acknowledging what our bodies need as individuals and what we need compared to our partners or our children or other members of our families. So Decoding Nutrition, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you will continue to visit us for it. If you have any questions or comments or that for our guest or us, please scroll down your screen and enter it into the comment box, and be sure to click submit. Or if you find it easier to just pick up the phone the old-fashioned way, give us a call at 818-LETS-TALK, 818-LETS-TALK. Now, when you do leave us a message through the phone, be sure to also leave us your contact number or the best way to contact you and the time, so that we can acknowledge that we have received your comment or question, and we can also reply to you. So That's our new format for this coming year. Be sure to check out the new slate of all the shows for 2014. We are launching quite a number of them, and we hope you enjoy them. We hope that it helps bring levels of awareness and consciousness to your health and wellness. And continue to play with us in our virtual sandbox. We continue to grow it out and reach into different communities out there, and it is through your help that we can do so. And I'm Christina Suzama, and I look forward to playing further with you this coming year. Until next time, namaste. YHTV's Magical Medical Tour. Come join Dr. Glenn Woolman and Christina Suzama as they journey through the healthcare galaxy, interviewing doctors, healthcare practitioners in the attempt to share ways to achieve optimal health. Join us on yogahub.tv every Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Breathing is a very important part of everything we do. And in the Wallman metaphor square breath, if you can imagine or see the picture of a square, in the bottom left-hand corner is an A, and then up in the left-hand corner is B, then over is C, and then at the bottom right is D. This is the metaphor square breath. If you think about it, when a person is born, the first thing that they do in life that declares that they're an individual is to take a deep breath, and that's inspiration, and we make that inspirational.